If you have questions, concerns, and are just lost when it comes to planning for retirement, meet Steve Hoyl and Derek Caldwell of the Hoyl Financial Group. You know, Steve, each and every single week we talk about how to create a successful income plan, how to give you the retirement you've dreamed of, how to not have any guesswork into it. And, you know, we talk about this and people are concerned about it. Yet I think right now with everything going on, because the market looks great, there's not a ton of volatility, everything's sunshine and rainbows. For a lot of people are in what we're calling paralysis analysis. They're not checking in on their financial plan, or they're not putting anything together because things look so good. Why would I need to do something? Are you seeing this a lot in the office?
Absolutely. People are in the clouds. They're in la land about their money. You know, and if you don't get control of that money now, it's going to be too late. You know, I also tell a lot of our clients, you need to get control of your kids as well. You know, this needs to be a family decision. I'm not saying you have to sit home and eat hamburger helper for dinner every night, but you have to become mindful of the money you're spending. You know, you've heard the saying, easy come, easy go. Well, I'm telling you, when you sit down like we talked about and you pull up to that ATM and you're making a list of where that money's going, it's going to be powerful. Don't let the numbers in your money control you. You control your money. You know, being mindful with money is what it's all about.
We talk a lot about market risk in retirement, but what if the bigger threat is something quieter? Morningstar asked Bill Bingen, the man behind the 4% withdrawal rule, if we should be worried about inflation right now. And here's what he said.
There's the trend that's concerning. Inflation is the greatest enemy of retirees because it forces them to increase their withdrawals and therefore, damages their portfolios. So people need to be aware of the inflation trends. If inflation starts becoming like it did in the 1960s or 70s, where it was double digit for over a decade on average, then probably we're all going to have to cut back on our withdrawals substantially to preserve capital or else run out of money.
Wow. Okay. Well, how should retirees be thinking about inflation risk when it comes to their withdrawal strategy?
Well, I think withdrawal strategy is everything. You know, I really think people sticking to a fixed rule can create problems when inflation rises. If you just have a 401k, like people come in and tell us they're going to start taking 4%, when that market falls, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And I'm telling you right now, Jess, with fuel prices the way they are, we're having crazy inflation. You know, we'll talk about those. I've been tracking those. We'll talk about those a little later in the show. But I really think instead of, fixing on a number, it's about a strategy. And like we've talked about earlier on the show, nobody wants an annuity, but they want all the attributes of a fixed index annuity for income. First off, it's going to roll up at 7.5 to 8 or 9% every year till you need to start taking income. And then having that consistent, dependable, predictable income every month is everything. Plus, having some catch-up buckets along there is really, really important. But I think, if people have some emergency money, when inflation kicks some prices up, maybe you can use a little bit of your emergency money instead of digging into brokerage and other things. But, we call that dialing it back, those withdrawals a little bit. But, preserving your portfolio is so important. But if you have a set, predictable income strategy, you're not going to be in the middle of your brokerage when the brokerage account is back down. And I really think if you're looking at your income and you're strategizing it for inflation, so every couple years you have another bucket of money to turn on to make up for the loss in buying power, you're going to be so much happier. You're going to be so much more prepared for retirement. Jess, it's a lot like what happens come up in a month or two when people start shopping for school supplies for kids. You know what? All of a sudden, like I was talking about earlier in the show, the lady that talks about the fair, I see a lot of families go broke over school supplies. I think those things are really important. And the same goes true for inflation. School supplies are going to be 20% higher next year than they were this year. So planning for that is important. But I also think when you really look at your withdrawals, you have a strategy for doing it, and watching the economic environment, you're going to finish better. But what we call that is retiring Texas style, retiring bigger, better, more meaningful. That's what it's about. So I want to tell you today, You know, if you're out there working and you're listening to us today, Derek Caldwell, our Chief Operating Officer, said it best. You can either give your boss 2 more years or give us 2 hours. In 2 hours, we can really enlighten you to the cornerstones of your retirement and how to make it everything that you want it to be in that final phase of life.
You know, every summer, one of my favorites, I think your favorites too, Steve, Chick-fil-A, they come out with a peach-flavored shake. Have you had it?
Oh, I have. And I also love the Dr. Pepper shake that they have at Whataburger. Have you ever had it?
I haven't even had. I never knew that.
They have a new flavor out. I can't remember what it is, but I'm telling you, it just kind of goes on a sugar high when you drink one of those. It's fun. I love peach, though.
Yeah, peach. Oh, my God, it's amazing. And it's only here for a few months. It'll be here till mid-August. So if you haven't gotten one, go get one. And then they'll be gone till next year. It got me thinking about windows of opportunity when it comes to retirement planning, Steve. There's got to be some examples here of, you know, if I don't do this by this age, then I've probably missed out on that benefits when it comes to retirement. Can you talk about those?
Absolutely. You know, at age 50, you all of a sudden the government lets you contribute more money. We call that catch-up contributions, but it's a great way to beef up your after-tax IRA, your Roth IRA, your 401k, and contribute more money because you're able to win stronger. It's all about how much money that you've put away for retirement. Another age that's really important is for many people, they get excited about age 55. You know, at age 55, you can access your retirement accounts penalty-free as long as you leave that money in the employer plan. But so many people mess up at 55 and think they can roll that out. Once they roll that out, they realize they're getting ready to pay the taxes on all their money. So working with a professional like ourselves who've been doing this for over 3 decades is absolutely so important. But I think the most meaningful age for so many retirees is age 59 and a half. That's when you can start withdrawing from your retirement accounts penalty-free. And all of a sudden, most employers let you take control of your money. Instead of letting it be in the 401k, you get to roll it over into an IRA, a Roth IRA, and all of a sudden take control of your retirement strategy. I would say 80% of the employers allow you to take that money. And I'm telling you something, that's where the rubber meets the road right there. If you're 59 and a half and you haven't done something with your money for retirement, you need to call us today. It's really the cornerstone age to start taking control of your retirement. You know, we talk a lot about age 65. That is the hard age for Medicare enrollment. You know, some people, while they're still working, will continue with that plan. But at that point, you can take Medicare. And I think you've got to remember that if you don't sign up, all of a sudden, for the rest of your life, you're going to pay more Medicare premiums. That is such an age you don't want to forget. We also talk about full retirement age and Social Security. So that's, you know, around 67 for most people. But at age 70 is when your Social Security quits rolling up. If you've not turned your Social Security on and you're age 70, you're making a huge mistake. You're just leaving money on the table. Remember, you know, even from age 67 to age 70, or age 62 all the way to age 70. Remember, Social Security rolls up at 8% every year. Even a couple extra months makes a huge difference. Let us sit down and show you the right age for you to take Social Security. It's so important. And then age 73, that's when you have to start taking money out of your retirement accounts. We call it the required minimum distribution. And it's so important, though, to start back when you're in your 50s to figure out how much money projected to age 73, because you don't want to be in a high tax bracket and wipe out your retirement. It's so important. You know, these are just 9 different milestones to really think of when you start thinking about retirement, Jess.
Steve, so what's the idea person that you generally work with? I mean, is this somebody that needs to have a certain amount of money saved? Do they need to be a certain age? What are kind of the requirements to sit down with you?
Well, I think it's different strokes for different folks, Jess, but I'm going to tell people if they start planning for their retirement 10 years before their retirement, they're going to retire really well. But a lot of people 3 to 5 years before they're going to start retiring, they come see us. But I'm telling you, the perfect age that you don't want to miss coming to see us is when you are turning 59 and a half, you or your spouse, because we can really help you sit down at the drawing board and map out your retirement. You know, Jess, I took my kids on a Disney cruise. I think of this cruise dining room a lot like retirement. You walk in, all the people that work on the ship are wearing white. All the walls in the whole room are white. Everything's white. And as the night goes on, it starts lighting up with color and all kinds of just wonderful things. Well, retirement's the same way. You know, when you all of a sudden start mapping out your retirement, you get to decide where you want to retire, you know, when you want to retire. Hopefully your medical is not going to change that. You get to decide what you want to do. You want to sleep late? Do you want to get up early? Do you want to go midnight movies? What do you want to do? What do you want to eat? What grandkids do you want to take on a trip? You get to figure it out. And I think that's the same way as having a white poster board and really figuring out, mapping out what retirement looks like for you. And if you have a spouse, you and your spouse. You know, maybe you want to volunteer. You know, a lot of our clients volunteer and get so rewarded in their hearts by doing it. So I really think having a plan, it all starts with a phone call to us or go to our website. There's a little box you can just start chatting with. It's funny, all of a sudden, I'll see somebody just start talking to us. I just think retirement is an opportunity. And the sooner you get started and have time on your side, that's what it's about. Call us today. You will not regret it.
And again, as you talked about, sooner is the goal here to get this retirement plan in place and the solid income plan as well.
After doing this for all these years, I see couples come in, and I see one of them is kind of the decision maker, but the other one has so many questions. They have so much worry. I'm just going to tell you something. I think you should get the old yellow pad out and start making your questions. Start writing down your ideas. Marriage is a partnership. Relationships are a partnership. And I think you need to partner in the questions and the design of your retirement strategy. I have people come to me that retire, and, you know, for the 10 years before, we're going to redo our house. We're going to redo the kitchens, the bathrooms. We're going to buy a brand new car. We're going to travel when we do it, and they never do it. Then you've got people doing the fear of missing out. FOMO, they're pushing it every day. So I think there's a happy medium. And, you know, at the end of the day, our clients, we ask them to give us permission each year to tell them where we think they are on their retirement roadmap. And that's really wonderful to sit down and get to partner in their future. You know, retirement's beautiful. Yours can be perfect. It's got to find what you want in your retirement.
If you'd like to sit down with Steve and Derek or a member of the Hoyl Financial Group, visit retiretexasstyle.com.
Investment advice offered through Hoyl Wealth Management, a Texas-registered investment advisor able to provide investment advice in states where it's registered, exempt, or excluded from registration. Content contained herein should not be construed as an offer or solicitation for investment advice or for the purchase or sale of any security, insurance, or other investment product. Investments involve the risk of loss, including possible loss of principal. Please consult with a qualified financial, tax, accounting, or legal professional before implementing any ideas or strategies discussed here. Content provided is obtained from sources believed to be reliable but cannot be guaranteed as to its accuracy or completeness. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Steve Hoyl, Texas Insurance License 716036. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Hoyl is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Hoyl is licensed in your state, please call 806-371-9473.